Welcome to Forbidden Desires channel that we hope you will have fun with us. Enjoy watching. It began with a knock on the door. I was sitting on the couch, a book in my lap, the soft hum of the evening settling around me. The knock was hesitant, almost shy, and it pulled me from the quiet comfort of my thoughts. I wasn't expecting anyone, and the sound made my heart skip a beat. When I opened the door, I was surprised to see him standing there. Edward, my best friend's younger brother. The last time I'd seen him, he was just a teenager, all awkward limbs and shy smiles. But now he stood tall, his broad shoulders filling the doorway, his dark eyes searching mine with an intensity that made my breath catch. "Hey, Sophia," he said, his voice deeper than I remembered. "I hope it's okay that I came by." I blinked, trying to process the sight of him. "Edward, of course it's okay, come in." He stepped inside, his presence filling the room in a way I hadn't anticipated. He smelled faintly of cologne and something else, something warm and familiar like the scent of rain. On a summer evening. I gestured toward the couch and he sat down. His hands clasped tightly in his lap. "Can I get you something to drink?" I asked. Trying to ease the tension that seemed to hang in the air, he shook his head. "No, I'm good, thanks." I sat down across from him, folding my legs beneath me. "So what brings you here?" He hesitated, his fingers tapping nervously against his knee. "I need your help with something. It's kind of personal." My curiosity piqued and I leaned forward slightly. "Okay. What is it?" He took a deep breath, his eyes meeting mine with a mixture of determination and vulnerability. "I've never been with anyone before, and I don't want my first time to be some random, meaningless thing. I want it to be with someone. I trust someone who makes me feel safe." The words hung in the air, heavy and charged. My heart raced and I felt a flush of warmth spread through me. "Edward," I said softly, "that's a big thing to ask." "I know," he said quickly, "and I don't expect anything. I trust you. Sophia, you've always been kind to me, even when I was just a kid tagging along after my sister. You never made me feel like I was in the way." I swallowed hard, my mind racing. Edward wasn't a kid anymore. He was a man standing on the edge of something new, something profound. And yet there was a sincerity in his eyes that made my chest ache. "Edward," the first said carefully, "this isn't something to take lightly. You're young and this is a big step. Are you sure you don't want to be with someone your own age? Someone who's also figuring things out?" He shook his head, his jaw tightening. "I don't want that. I don't want awkward or rushed. I want something real, and you've always felt real to me. Sophia." His words struck a chord deep within me. I hadn't realized he'd noticed those things, the way I'd listened to him, the way I treated him with kindness and respect. And now here he was offering me a glimpse into his heart, his vulnerability laid bare. I took a slow breath, trying to steady my racing thoughts. "Edward, this would change things between us." "I know," he said without hesitation, "and I'm okay with that." I looked at him, really looked at him, and saw the quiet determination in his eyes. He wasn't asking for something fleeting or reckless. He was asking for something real, something meaningful. And in that moment I realized that I wanted it too. I reached out, my fingers brushing against his hand, his breath hitched and his eyes locked onto mine, filled with a quiet anticipation. "Are you sure about this?" I whispered. He nodded, his Adam's apple bobbing as he swallowed more than anything, and with that I made my decision. I leaned in, pressing my lips to his in a slow, tentative kiss. Edward tensed for a moment before melting into it, his hands finding my waist, unsure but eager. The kiss was soft, at first delicate, but then something shifted. There was an urgency beneath his hesitancy, a hunger wrapped in restraint. When we pulled apart, breathless and searching each other's faces, Edward let out a small nervous chuckle. "Did I do that right?" I smiled, my thumb grazing against his jaw. "Perfectly," he exhaled, his grip on my waist, relaxing. "Sophia, I don't want this to be a mistake for you." I held his gaze, my heart pounding in my chest. "It's not, and I meant it, because no matter where this led, no matter what tomorrow brought, tonight was ours. For the first time in years, I let myself truly feel, and I wouldn't regret it." The night unfolded slowly, each moment stretching into eternity. We talked for hours, our voices soft and intimate, sharing stories and secrets that neither of us had ever told anyone else. Edward opened up about his fears, his dreams, and the weight of expectations that had been placed on him since he was a child. I, in turn, shared my own struggles, the loneliness that had crept into my life, and the quiet longing for something more. As the hours passed, the tension between us grew, a palpable energy that neither of us could ignore. And yet there was no rush, no urgency. We took our time exploring each other with a tenderness that left me breathless. Every touch, every kiss was filled with a quiet reverence, as if we were both aware of the fragility of the moment. When the first light of dawn began to creep through the curtains, we lay tangled together, our breath slow, and even Edward's arm was draped over my waist, his fingers tracing lazy patterns on my skin. I turned to look at him, my heart swelling with a warmth I hadn't felt in years. "Thank you," he whispered, his voice barely audible for what I asked. My fingers brushing against his cheek for trusting me, he said, his eyes searching mine. "Forge giving me this." I smiled, my chest aching with the weight of his words. "You don't have to thank me, Edward. This was special for me too." He nodded, his expression softening. "I don't know what happens next," he admitted. "But I'm glad it was you." I didn't know what to say, so I simply leaned in and kissed him again, pouring all the emotions I couldn't put into words into that one fleeting moment. Blank. The next morning, as the golden light of dawn crept through the curtains, I sat on the edge of my bed, lost in thought. Edward had already left, slipping out with a quiet goodbye and a lingering glance that said more than words ever could. I expected regret to settle in, but all I felt was peace, because last night wasn't a mistake. It wasn't reckless or foolish. It was two people choosing each other for a moment that would always belong to us. I didn't know what came next, and for the first time in my life that was okay, because sometimes life wasn't about planning. Sometimes it was about allowing yourself to be alive, and last night, for the first time in a long time, I had been truly beautifully alive. In the days that followed, I found myself thinking about Edward more than I cared to admit. The memory of his touch, the sound of his voice, the way he had looked at me, it all lingered in my mind, a constant reminder of the night we had shared. I wondered if he felt the same way, if he too was grappling with the weight of what had happened between us. A week later, I received a text from him. It was simple, just a few words, but it made my heart race all the same. "Can we talk?" I stared at the screen, my fingers trembling as I typed out a reply. "Of course, when?" "Tonight, your place." I took a deep breath, trying to steady my nerves. "Okay." When Edward arrived that evening, he looked different. Somehow there was a quiet confidence in his demeanor, a sense of purpose that hadn't been there before. He sat down on the couch, his hands clasped tightly in his lap, and for a long moment neither of us spoke. Finally, he broke the silence. "I've been thinking a lot about what happened," he said, his voice steady but soft, and I needed to see you to make sure you were okay." I nodded, my heart swelling with emotion. "I'm okay, Edward, more than okay." He exhaled, his shoulders relaxing. "Slightly good, because I don't want this to be the end. I know it's complicated, and I know there are a million reasons why this shouldn't work. But I can't stop thinking about you. Sophia, about us." I felt a lump form in my throat, my eyes stinging with unshed tears. "I've been thinking about you too," I admitted, more than I should. He reached out, his fingers brushing against mine. "Then let's figure this out together," and in that moment I realized that maybe, just maybe, this wasn't just a fleeting moment. Maybe it was the beginning of something real, something beautiful. And for the first time in a long time, I allowed myself to hope. My story ends here. If you feel that this story is meaningful and brings useful lessons, please like and subscribe to the channel to support me. Thanks for listening, and see you in the next videos.